Have you ever met someone and felt an immediate, almost irrational aversion? A surge of anger, a flash of judgment, a deep-seated irritation that seems to come from nowhere? It's not about something they did. It's about who they are. The way they're too loud, too needy, too arrogant, too weak. That person who grates on your nerves, whose very existence feels like a personal offense. Now, I want you to pause for a moment. Think of that person. Feel that irritation. And I'm going to ask you a dangerous question, one that might change everything. What if that hatred isn't about them at all? What if that person is simply a mirror? A mirror reflecting back a part of yourself that you buried long ago, a part you were terrified to face. Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, gave a name to this brutal and liberating psychological mechanism. He called it the shadow. And he said this: everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But we have misunderstood this. We think it's a gentle suggestion. It is not. It is a direct map to your own inner prison. The hatred you feel is not a judgment on them. It is a cry for help from a disowned part of your own soul. Let that sink in. The colleague you can't stand because of his blatant ambition, the friend you criticize for her neediness, the stranger you despise for their weakness, they are all living out a fragment of your own story, a chapter you tried to rip out of the book of your life. But you can't. The more you try to tear it out, the more it haunts you, projected onto the world around you. You think you are seeing them. You are only seeing your own reflection in a glass you refuse to acknowledge. This is where the real game is played. Not in the outside world of arguments and conflicts, but in the silent, dark theater of your own psyche. And if you don't understand the rules, you will be a puppet, forever hating your own reflection in others, forever fighting a war against yourself. In the next part, we will descend into the anatomy of the shadow. You will see, with terrifying clarity, how this mechanism is built, piece by piece, from childhood. Get ready to look into the mirror you've been avoiding your entire life. You think your personality is whole, complete, a single entity. Jung revealed a shocking truth. The psyche is not a monolith. It is an ecosystem. And one of its most powerful territories is the shadow. The shadow is not a little quirk. It is the sum of all the parts of yourself that your conscious mind, your ego, has deemed unacceptable. Think back. When you were a child, what happened when you were too loud? Be quiet. When you were too demanding? Don't be selfish. When you cried? Big boys don't cry. When you were fiercely competitive? Don't be so aggressive. You were not born hating your own ambition, your own sensitivity, your own anger, your own vulnerability. You were taught to be loved, to be accepted, to be safe. You had to create a mask. Jung called this mask the persona. The pleasant, agreeable, socially acceptable face you show the world. But what happens to the parts that don't fit the mask? The anger, the laziness, the greed, the wildness, the profound sensitivity? You don't just delete them. That's impossible. You repress them. You shove them into the basement of your own psyche, into the shadow. You lock the door and pretend they don't exist. But they do exist. They are alive down there in the dark. And energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So what happens to this disowned energy? It doesn't vanish. It leaks. It projects. Projection is the psychological mechanism of exporting what is inside onto the outside world. It's like a movie projector. The film reel, the images, the stories, the characters is inside you, in your shadow. But you see the movie playing out on the external screen, on other people. The man who is secretly terrified of his own passivity will become a tyrant, mercilessly attacking weakness in others. The woman who is shamed for her own needs will be disgusted by needy people. The person who buried their own ambition will despise the career-obsessed. You are not seeing them. You are seeing the ghost of your own disowned self. And you hate it. You hate it with a passion that is entirely disproportionate to the crime, because you are not just hating their trait. You are hating the part of you that you had to mutilate to be loved. This is a self-hatred so profound, so terrifying, that it can only be experienced as hatred for another. But here is the cruelest twist. The more you fight it in them, the stronger it becomes in you. Jung was unequivocal. What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. Your shadow grows fat on your denial. It gains power in the dark. And the people who trigger you the most are not your enemies. They are your unwitting teachers, pointing directly at the doors you have locked within yourself. So I ask you now, looking into your eyes, how long will you fight this civil war? How long will you exhaust your energy, your peace, your vitality, battling ghosts of yourself and other people? The day you stop projecting, the day you withdraw the hatred from the outside world and turn it inward with curiosity, the entire game changes. And that is what we will explore in the next part, how to reclaim these projections, and why this is the most courageous act of power you will ever undertake. So, you understand the mechanism. You see the projector. The question now is, what do you do? How do you stop being a slave to your own projections? How do you reclaim this lost energy? The answer is not to become the negative trait. The answer is to own it. Jung called this process shadow work. It is not for the faint of heart. It is the deliberate, conscious descent into your own basement to turn on the lights and meet what you find there. The first step is to follow the emotional trail. Your irritation, your rage, your judgment, these are not problems to be eliminated. They are alarms. They are flashing red lights saying, "Projection in progress. Look within." The next time you feel that intense, irrational dislike for someone, I want you to do something radical. I want you to stop, breathe, and ask yourself the most powerful question you will ever ask. What does this person reflect back to me about myself? If you hate their arrogance, where are you arrogant in your life? Maybe not openly, but in your secret thoughts, in your sense of superiority, in your belief that you know better. If you are repulsed by their neediness, where are you needy but ashamed to admit it? Where do you crave validation but pretend you don't? If their laziness infuriates you, where have you abandoned your own discipline? Where are you lazy in pursuing your own dreams? This is not about blaming yourself. It is about reclaiming your power. When a quality is out there, in someone else, you are powerless. You can only hate, complain, and try to change them. But when you reclaim it as a part of your own psychic structure, you become powerful. You can work with it. You can integrate it. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." You don't become whole by only being good. You become whole by embracing the full spectrum of your humanity. The so-called negative trait always has a positive potential. Your repressed anger, when integrated, becomes healthy boundaries and the fuel for action. Your repressed vulnerability becomes empathy and deep connection. Your repressed greed becomes a healthy drive for abundance. When you withdraw your projection, something miraculous happens. The other person changes. No, they don't change their behavior, but your perception of them shifts dramatically. They lose their power over you. The charge is gone. The intense hatred dissolves into indifference, or even understanding. You have taken your energy back. But be warned, this process has a price. When you stop projecting, you are forced to confront your own complexity. You can no longer see yourself as purely the hero or the victim. You have to admit that you contain the entire world, the light and the dark. This is humbling. It will distance you from people who prefer to live in the simple world of villains and heroes. They will call you confusing, complicated, even fake. But this is just a reaction to your newfound wholeness. You are no longer a simple tool for their own projections. Your shadow, once integrated, ceases to be a demon lurking in the basement. It becomes a source of incredible creativity, vitality, and depth. It is the wellspring of your authentic power. And this leads us to the final, most profound part of this journey. What is born from this integration? What kind of life awaits you on the other side of self-acceptance? When you stop hating in others what you deny in yourself, a profound silence falls. It's not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of a war that has ended. The internal conflict that drained your energy for decades simply ceases. And in that space, a new kind of strength is born. The strength of the individual who is no longer at war with themselves. Jung called the ultimate goal of this process individuation, the process of becoming who you truly, fundamentally are, by integrating the conscious and the unconscious. You stop being a reactor, forever triggered by the outside world. You become a creator. Your energy, once wasted on fighting phantoms, is now available for your life, your passions, your purpose. The vitality that was locked in the shadow is returned to you. You feel more alive, more real, more grounded than you ever thought possible. The people who remain in your life will be there for a different reason. Not because you fulfill a role for them, or they for you, but because you connect authentically beyond the games of projection. The relationships you form from this place of wholeness are fewer, but they are unshakable. You will look at the people who once triggered you with a new lens. Not with hatred, but with a quiet recognition. You will see their own struggles, their own disowned shadows, and you will feel compassion. Not a pitying compassion, but the deep understanding of one who knows the same battle is being waged within them. This is the final, liberating truth. The world does not change. You change. And by changing, your entire experience of the world transforms. The noisy, irritating, conflict-ridden world becomes a place of fascinating complexity and profound lessons. Every person you meet, every irritation you feel, becomes a potential teacher, a mirror offering you another chance to know yourself more deeply. You are no longer a victim of your own psyche. You are its master. So now I ask you, looking into your eyes one final time, are you ready to lay down your weapons? Are you ready to end the civil war within? Are you willing to turn your hatred into curiosity, your judgment into introspection, and your fragmented self into a whole, sovereign being? If this message has resonated with you, if you feel the truth of it in your bones, then write in the comments just 2 words. I see. Let's see how many here are ready to look in the mirror. And if you want to go deeper, if you are ready to begin the most important work of your life, my book, Meeting the Shadow, breaks down Jung's practical tools for shadow work. It gives you the map to navigate your inner world, reclaim your projected energy, and step into the life you were meant to live. The link is in the pinned comment. It's one thing to understand this intellectually. It's another to do the work, to sit in the discomfort, to ask the hard questions, to finally, after all this time, welcome yourself home. Awareness without action is just another layer of the mask. True transformation begins now.